every year. It really deeply affects me.
She was British. She was too young to remember September 11th the way millions of Americans do.
I was only one when 9/11 happened.
She didn't wake up that morning knowing the world is about to change. She learned about it afterwards, through television, through photographs, through stories. But then she came to New York and stood exactly where it happened. And suddenly, 9/11 wasn't just something she had learned about. It was right in front of her.
One of the saddest moments in history.
There's something strange about being born just a little too late to remember one of the most important days of your lifetime. You know the date, you know the images, you know the story. But you don't remember the morning. You don't remember what you were doing when the first plane hit. You don't remember watching the television with your parents. You don't remember the confusion. And yet, you grow up surrounded by its consequences. For Sienna, September 11th was always part of the world she inherited. But standing at the memorial in New York was different, because this wasn't a screen. It wasn't a history lesson. It was the place. For people who were old enough to remember, September 11th didn't begin with an explanation. It began with confusion. A plane had crashed, then another. Then the impossible became real. The news anchors didn't even fully understand what they were watching. And while the world stared at New York, thousands of ordinary people were simply trying to get home. Workers, parents, firefighters, police officers, passengers. People who had gone to work that morning expecting nothing more than an ordinary Tuesday. Some never made it home. And some people made a final call. Not because they knew exactly what was happening, but because they knew they needed to hear the voice of someone they loved. And this is where 9/11 stops being about buildings. It becomes about people. Look closely at the memorial. You don't see thousands of photographs. You see names, one after another. Because behind every name was a person who had a family. Someone who had a favorite meal. Someone who made somebody laugh. Someone who had plans for the weekend. Someone who thought they would be home that evening. That's what can be difficult for someone visiting from another country to understand. America didn't simply lose two towers. America lost people. And those people came from different backgrounds, different religions, different neighborhoods, different walks of life. But on that morning, they became part of the same story. You can watch the footage 100 times, but standing at ground zero is something else. The reflecting pools occupy the footprints where the towers once stood, and surrounding them are the names, thousands of them. The city continues around the memorial. Cars still move, people still walk, buildings still rise. New York is alive. And perhaps that's what makes the memorial so powerful, because the city didn't stop forever. It kept going, but it didn't forget. For Sienna, this wasn't just a visit to a famous location. It was a moment of realization. She had grown up knowing about 9/11. Now, she was standing inside its memory. From the outside, it can sometimes be difficult to understand why Americans still speak about September 11th with such emotion. But imagine growing up in a country where almost everyone remembers exactly where they were when it happened. Imagine watching firefighters run toward buildings while everyone else was running away. Imagine seeing the names of people who never came home. Imagine being a child who lost a parent, and then growing up with that empty chair at every family gathering. That's why remembrance matters. It's not simply about remembering the attack. It's about remembering the people who were there, the people who died, the people who survived, and the people who ran to danger to help strangers. And perhaps this is what makes Sienna's reaction so powerful. She didn't come to America expecting to discover something profound. She simply came to see the memorial. But sometimes, you don't understand a country's history until you stand inside it. You don't understand the emotion behind a date until you see the names. You don't understand the weight of a tragedy until you stand where families once waited for people who never came home. And maybe that's what happened here. She didn't just see Ground Zero. She saw a part of America that can never be separated from its memory. September 11th changed America, but it also changed the way the world saw America. And decades later, a young British woman stood at Ground Zero and discovered that some moments in history aren't meant to be simply watched. They're meant to be remembered, because behind every number, there was a name. Behind every name, there was a life. And behind every life, there was someone who loved them. Maybe that's why Americans still remember. Not because they want to live in the past, but because they refuse to let the people who were lost become just a date in a history book. If you enjoy seeing America through European eyes, subscribe to America Through European Eyes. Because sometimes, the best way to understand a country is to see it through someone else's eyes.